For those who grew up poor, what did you consider a luxury? Going out to eat at a restaurant. I don't know if anyone can relate. But in about 3rd, maybe 4th grade, me and my twin brother had a music class where we were both required to buy a recorder. Like a plastic flute thing. Well, my mom said we didn't have the money, so my twin brother and I tore the whole house up in search of $6 for 2 recorders. We brought a Ziploc bag full of change, pennies, nickels, dimes, etc. I think the teacher felt sorry for us, 'cause she paid for our recorders when the rest of the students left the room. Gave us the Ziploc bag back. Thank you, Mrs. Albrecht. Edit. Well, shit. Never thought I'd get this sort of response. Let alone even a single award. Thank you to all those kind souls who gave me one. Until the age of 12. I thought that you weren't allowed to buy things that weren't on sale. My mom only bought things when they were on sale and/or she had a coupon. So I thought that the non-sale items weren't being sold. In middle school I was on reduced school meals, so it would be 40 for lunch. So my parents would always give me 2 quarters every morning for lunch. Now the cafeteria would also sell cookies, which wasn't part of the lunch set, for 50 each. So saving 10 each day, I could afford 1 cookie by Friday's lunch. Good times. Edit. Rip inbox. I was wondering why my phone was blowing up at 7 a.m. haha. Grew up pretty poor in Arkansas in a trailer. I literally got a door to my bedroom for Christmas one year. It probably still was the best gift I ever received. Edit. Whoa. Didn't expect this to blow up. I guess I tapped into the vein of my poor Arky brethren. Goo pigs su ooey. Edit 2. Reading through the comments. I'm surprised so many others didn't have doors either. Feels good so many can relate. Tears of joy. I got pretty excited to be given my own bed. School parties where everyone brought something to share for lunch. If you don't bring something, you don't get to participate. I brought 2 carrots after not being able to afford school lunch for 2 years. Even the teacher laughed at me. My young self just decided that day that some people don't deserve lunch. Edit. Holy shit, guys. I just woke up. But thank you for all of your kindness and all of these awards. I didn't expect this at all. I'm in a better place financially now, as some have asked. So don't worry. That was so many years ago. I have decided that my children, should I choose to have them, will have what they need when they need it. I hope all of you have such blessed, happy days, because you've made me smile. 2. For my school's Spirit Week, they had a thrift shop day, where most everyone dressed in old ratty clothes, or the weirdest stuff they could find in a thrift shop. Needless to say, as someone whose clothes were 80% secondhand, it was an eye-opener. New shoes. Edit. I just woke up to see that this exploded. Thanks everyone for the votes and awards. I really didn't expect this. We're ordering pizza for dinner. Being able to get candy at a store. New school supplies. Brand name food. New clothes. I grew up pretty poor, no TV, no toys, but had a Sears catalog. My dad got in a serious accident when I was in 4th grade and almost lost his life. He won a small settlement from the community college he was working at, and I was able to buy new clothes for the first time in my life. Before this, all I ever had were hand-me-downs from my cousin and donation clothes from the church. Most were worn to the point of having patches on the knees. The worst part about getting new clothes for the first time is I felt terrible the whole time picking out new clothes because I always felt like a financial burden to my parents. I remember going to Miller's Outpost and picking out typical 80s clothes, op. TNC, etc. Closing parenthesis. It's funny how growing up poor affects my everyday choices. For better or worse. I'll never outgrow some of the feelings I had as a poor kid, and I feel for any kid who has to endure a childhood of poverty. It will affect them and their choices for the rest of their life. Edit. Thanks to everyone who understands how one can feel so self-conscious about how it feels to have less than others. Y'all are an amazing community. Stay safe out there. My mom had 7 children in 10 years. 1950 to 1960. I remember having a whole bottle, those smallish glass ones that came out of the machine for 10 cents, of soft drink to myself instead of sharing one bottle between all 7 of us. I was perhaps 5 years old. I still remember this as the best thing ever. Staying at someone's house who wasn't poor. Like a relative or friend. Their house was also so clean. Beautiful. Pictures on the wall. Knick-knacks on the counter. And carpet you could play on because it was clean. I spent my entire teenage years hiding where I lived. Edit. I had no idea how many people felt the same way. I have no resentment towards my parents because they sacrificed so much for me and my brother. We are college grads. With careers we love. Not living paycheck to paycheck because of how much our parents loved us and helped us achieve. I am like an anti-hoarder now. I don't like to own anything I don't use or need or like looking at. I throw out or donate things I don't use anymore. I hate clutter, dirty floors, and those random stacks of papers and mail that form so quickly. Too bad we couldn't have been friends as teenagers. Pancakes. But now as an adult and knowing how cheap pancakes really are, I think my mom just didn't want to make them. My mother used to consider any kind of cereal a luxury. They only had one box a month. Brand name cereal was for the upper class. Man. Honestly didn't know that pastaroni was $1 until I was a grown-ass man. I thought that was some gourmet shit. Parents staying home. I was always alone. Electricity lol. Thanks for paying the bill this month. Mom. A hot shower. Cold showers were always available. But when you scraped enough cash to get some diesel fuel and get the burner to kick on long enough to have a hot shower, man. Absolutely nothing better. Being allowed to turn on the heat during the winter. And also being able to hire a professional to fix broken appliances. Plumbing. Etc. Going to the movie theater. Having my own bedroom. Going places during school vacation. The kids would be all like, "What? You've never been to XYZ amusement park?" No. Trisha. My family doesn't even have a car. Which is another luxury to me. Air conditioning. Sometimes we had a jacked up old window unit that would cool down my parents' room on the hottest of summer nights and we would sleep in sleeping bags on their floor. Sometimes it was broke. Sometimes it just wasn't hot enough to justify running it. Never during the day though. That's what the library was for. McDonald's. Clothes that fit. Soda. Having a toy that other kids thought was cool. Edit. Okay, I never do the stupid thank you edit. But damn everyone, thank you for letting me wake up to such great responses. Thanks to everyone for sharing. My heart feels so nice RN connecting with everyone like this smiley face. A new winter coat. I don't remember having a new winter coat until I was probably 14 or 15. They had always been hand-me-downs from my cousins. They were usually at least 10 years old by the time I got them and the stuffing would be all clumped up. My grandma would take me to Chuck E. Cheese on my b-day and give me a bunch of tokens. That shit was luxe. Restaurants were definitely somewhere at the top of my list. I lived through the tail end of apartheid in South Africa, so we weren't allowed into restaurants. Also, non-iceberg lettuce. Dairy products. Like a full glass of milk. Cheese. Cottage cheese. Yogurt. Flavored milk. Lawns. A dining table and family meals at the table. Vacations that didn't involve staying with relatives. Doritos. Or any name brand chips. Actually. Renting a movie from Blockbuster the first weekend of every month. My brother and I got to pick any movie we wanted as long as it wasn't rated R. On really special nights. We even got a 2-liter bottle of Sprite for the family to share. Taking a bath. I mean, we bathed every night. But it was by heating up water that we would go to the park down the road to get in 5-gallon jugs, and filling up a mop bucket to wash off with. Staying over at a friend or family member's house and getting to take an actual shower was amazing though. Some of these posts make me cry. Buying new clothes. The days I justify ordering all kinds of dumb stuff online, but I've always felt a mental block on buying new clothes. It feels like an unjustified luxury because I always got by on second-hand clothes and free t-shirts. Edit. Thank you. Salix16 for my very first award. Having breakfast. It's gotten to the point where I can't eat in the morning because my body is so used to waiting. I used to go through hundreds of feet of all kinds of vine. Thorn. Brush. Plenty of poison oak too. Be covered in burrs. Chiggers. Ticks to get at wild blackberries. They had thorns too, and fill my milk jugs with them. They were down in a low boggy place that was just inaccessible. No trail. No openings. Just a hell wall of green that led up to some swamp bog here and there. So plenty of mosquitoes too. Because my folks sure weren't buying them by the pint, not even as good as the wild ones, and once I had tasted them, I fucking wanted them. Those things were my girls before puberty. I'm sure I went through more to get my snack of them than I ever did for anything in my life, and I wasn't even a fat kid. I just. Obsession. Come back home all bloodied and scratched up, my dad telling me I looked like I jumped inside a sack full of cats. Helping himself to my jugs of treasures. Mom with the Neosporin. The cure for it all. Chef Boyardee. Not even kidding. Edit. I still eat ravioli on my birthday. Better ravioli. But ravioli nevertheless. Pop-Tarts and toaster strudels. I remember in 8th grade on my birthday at school, one of my teachers asked me what gifts I had received. He asked in front of the whole class. I excitedly shared that I would be getting contact lenses. My parents let me choose one thing that I wanted, and I desperately wanted to stop wearing the broken glasses I had, which I usually didn't wear. One of the boys in class made a comment like, "Contacts aren't a present." And my teacher had to explain to him again in front of everyone that for some families they were too expensive not to be a luxury. After that experience I worked 2 and 3 jobs in high school so I could buy myself and my brothers the things we needed. The first thing I bought with my money from my first job as a hostess at a diner was a queen-size bed because my twin mattress was about 20 years old, and at 15 I was having back problems and issues with rusted springs poking me. Owning books. Christmas presents. I was a kid and 1 year for Christmas when I was young. Before I could recognize that I was making any kind of larger point. I said that I wanted my parents to just give my presents to the kids who didn't have anything. But I didn't know that I was one of those kids. I wonder what they thought when a kid said that to them. I wonder if it hurt them or inspired them. The really important thing is relationships. The people in our lives aren't some kind of replacement for things. People are the most valuable things to us. Fuck the garbage. Don't buy anything this Christmas. Just spend it with your loved ones and genuinely express your love for them. That's the value. Things are garbage. People make a difference. It's a long time ago. But when I was young, about 6 to 8 years old, back in the early 1960s, we had meat once a week for the family dinner, on Sundays. Being poor in the Philippines meant no hot water for showers. This was manageable during dry season since it was always hot. But during rainy seasons when it would cool outside more, it really sucked. I just never enjoyed showers. When I moved to the US I had hot waters and baths. Holy crap. I now love getting clean. A father. My mom bought me the bag of chips I wanted as a birthday present. Edit. And the bad thing is I'm pretty sure my mom could afford it without it being my birthday present. Single mom of 3, but we had a decent house. It was just the food that was bad. Nothing we wanted ever. No say in what was in the house. There was child support money she spent on new boots for herself, and all we had were hand-me-down clothes. Actual real milk. My mum used to buy something called 5 pints. It was powdered milk that you added cold water to and shook to make milk. I remember the lumps of it in my cereal. KFC takeout was the best night of the year growing up. Only got it once a year, but man was it the best night ever. Jeans from the mall. Having a fridge full of food. I see nobody says this, but going to the dentist or any doctor at all. Sitting down with your family for dinner each night. Air conditioning. Television. A heater that wasn't one of those cheap little dollar store models that smelled like burning metal. Matching dinnerware. Cups made of glass. Reliable internet. A clothes dryer. Being driven to school. Or living in an area where you could safely walk to school. Hershey's chocolate syrup. I was used to a 8 to 12 ounces glass of milk with a feather touch squeeze of drops of chocolate addy when I was around 6 or 7. It would barely tinge the milk a light malt color, but that's all Mom would allow for years. 13 years later, my baby sister is old enough to have her vocalized demands and the like. I'm old enough to serve her while Mom ignores her. But we're doing so much better financially, so we always have a bottle of syrup on hand, and she gets the big 24 ounces tumblers of milk, and I have to squeeze enough syrup out to make the chocolate dark muddy brown, or she cries I'm ripping her off. Encouragement of any kind. Eating every day. Butter. Having a bedroom to yourself. I can't recall a single time before I had my own place that I ever had a bedroom to myself. At first it was me and my grandmother because my mom was out drinking. Then my grandmother died and my mom had another baby, which me and him shared a room in a small apartment. Then I couch hopped and stayed at friend's house in my teenage years. Then I went to live with my dad, who was also poor, and lived with my grandmother in a run-down trailer, and he slept on a foam mattress in the living room and I slept on a love seat. I'm 25 now and I do really well for myself overall. I have a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. I've got 2 cars that are reliable. And I have a girlfriend and little boy that I love more than anything. I grew up in a really bad position, honestly. So being able to provide for my son the way my parents never did for me really gives me a sense of pride and accomplishment. I don't want him to ever wonder where he's going to sleep or to have to worry about anything that I ever had to growing up. To this day, me and my mother don't have a good relationship, and my dad is trying to be better and be a part of my son's life. Giving him the things I never had is enough for me. Edit. Thanks for all your kind words and the awards. Means a lot. Everything. Actual pajamas were a big one. I always slept in hand-me-down t-shirts. Ordering a drink when you eat out as well. Where to begin? I grew up dirt poor. Like lived in a car for a while poor. Gloves? Nope, we had bread bags around our hands. Do you want milk in your cereal? Great. Add some water to this dehydrated milk and toss it into your old margarine bowl. I shit you not. I didn't have toys for a lot of my childhood, so I would cut them out of the newspaper ad and use them. I would make noises when I balled up the Transformer ones like they were changing forms. Parents. The last year my mother was on this earth, my brother and I walked 3 miles to beg her to come home for Mother's Day because she was at another man's house. My dad spent a significant chunk of my childhood in prison, and the men who my mom would see, 90% of them beat us. Sorry folks that got deep, thanks for letting me rant. We had a babysitter that lived in a 2-story house, and that was way more fancy than our trailer home. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.